Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to this special edition of Perspective. I'm Tina Jha. The National Democratic Alliance is all set to retain power in Bihar, and this time with an even stronger mandate. Trends so far project the NDA at around 200 seats in the 243-member assembly. Results of several seats are still awaited. It's been a standout performance across the NDA. To begin with, the BJP has led from the front and is poised to finish as the single largest party, leading on 89 seats currently. Results for 70 have been declared. The rest is awaited as per the Election Commission. The JDU has staged a remarkable comeback, rising from 43 seats in 2020 to now over 80 this time. Both the BJP and JDU, remember, they contested on 101 seats each, and the numbers clearly show how well that partnership seems to have worked. The LJP Ram Vilas too has kept up its strong momentum from the Lok Sabha elections in terms of the strike rate, contesting effectively on 28 seats because one member, remember, the nomination was rejected, so they were given 29 seats. They contested on 28. The party is currently ahead on 19 with 6 already in the bag and leads on 13 as the final rounds of counting continue. Jitan Ram Manjhi's HAM and Upendra Kushwaha's RLM have also delivered solid performances. Each contested 6 seats. HAM currently leading on 5, RLM on 4. On the other side, it has been a difficult day for the Mahagathbandhan. The RJD has slid from 75 seats in 2020 to about 25 this time. So far, results have been declared for 8 seats, including Raghupur, the family bastion that Tejaswi Yadav has managed to hold, though by a narrow margin. The Congress is down to 6 at the moment, with results out for 1 and leads on 5. The CPI-ML is ahead on 2, CPI-M on 1, the IIP currently leading on 1, and the VIP hasn't even opened its account. So that in a nutshell is the story of the two alliances that went into this contest with big campaigns, big promises, and finally crafted strategies, only for the results to paint two very different pictures. Through the next 30 minutes, we'll break down the factors that helped the NDA connect with the voters and what did not quite work for the Mahagathbandhan. Joining us is a distinguished panel of guests who will help us decode one of the most interesting, most fascinating elections in recent times. With me in the studio are two senior journalists, Mr. Ajay Singh and Mr. K.V. Prasad. Thank you to you both for joining us on the program. Joining us virtually is Mr. Jay Narayan Pandey. He's consulting political editor, Times of India, Bihar, and Professor Himanshu Prasad Roy, Center for Political Studies, School of Social Sciences, JNU. Thank you to both of you as well for joining us on the program to discuss this very, very interesting day, which has gone in favor of the NDA, but not so well for the Mahagathbandhan. They have so many reasons to go back and introspect. But to begin with, Mr. Singh, I remember we were having a conversation yesterday on what to expect ahead of the results, and I recall we discussed one of the articles in which you spoke about 2005 being a coalition of extremes, 2010 being a rainbow of coalition. Let me take it forward from there. How would you now, after the end of the result day, although the final results are still awaited, but how would you describe the results today? How would you describe 2025 as the coalition of a different kind of social consensus? How would you want to describe it for us?
Well, I would again say that it's a kind of replication of 2010 elections. So it's a kind of rainbow coalition in which caste factors have almost dissipated. I mean, it's no longer effective in terms of, I mean, if you look at the turnout of women or other voting patterns, you will find that electorate has transcended the caste factor. So that is what exactly happened in 2010. So I would describe this election as replication of that 2010 election. And having said that, what I would like to point out that opposition has made a mistake of not reinventing the language, the new idiom, the new language. Because in 2007 or 8, Bihar Chief Minister told me in one of those interviews that, you see, Bihar has gone ahead. I mean, the language of politics which was spoken before 2005, it is no longer spoken there. But I don't know why it has happened that opposition has caught in a time warp and they have not reinvented the language. So that is a handicap which opposition may have to introspect about itself.
Certainly, lots to introspect for the Mahagathbandhan. But Mr. Prasad, would you agree that this kind of mandate in favor of the NDA, 20 years of anti-incumbency, but wait, what's anti-incumbency for the BJP? I think they've given a completely new definition to what we used to discuss as anti-incumbency. Does this mandate represent a new kind of social consensus, one which prioritizes development over caste dynamics, which used to be the hallmark of Bihar elections?
Yeah, in fact, the new word which has been popularized is the pro-incumbency. So anti-incumbency is pass. Anyway, that is a well cliche that people use in elections nowadays. But to answer your question, I think I would take forward from where Mr. Ajay Singh was talking about. If he may recall that when 2005 elections happened and Mr. Nitish was voted to office, the first time many people wrote, analysts wrote that Mr. Nitish Kumar has broken the caste barrier. He offered a different kind of a paradigm, and he talked about development, a language which resonated with people having experienced the RJD for 15 years. So that was one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that change started at 2005, and 10 I think probably consolidated a little more, and since then I think he has been very successful in conveying to the people of Bihar. The common factor remains Mr. Nitish Kumar, that is everybody knows. He switched sides in 2015 and you see the results were different. He remains a constant factor. Even today he was the constant factor, although ironically the number of seats he won is far less than the BJP. Maybe a dozen here and there. That could be a different reason altogether. We don't know what exactly seat-wise what happened. Social dynamics, he's already altered it. Whereas I think the other party, the challengers, were either unable to, though we must compliment that both the challengers in Jan Swaraj Party and Mahagathbandhan have injected an element into Bihar's aspirations. And that I think will be a challenge for any government that comes in now. Because you cannot brush it under the carpet. They've talked about jobs, they talked about migration, they've talked about dealing with unemployment, which the government is aware, but the accentuation and the pressure on them will be more because they have now the people of Bihar have given them a massive mandate. So it's no longer a mandate that iffy. It's a very clear. So this is where I look at.
I think that's what reflected. Development is the top priority. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also highlighted that the caste barrier is something that the NDA together has broken. The MY bastion, which was supposedly said to be rock solid behind the RJD for years, you would be, it actually came out as a very remarkable statement from the Prime Minister that the NDA came up with its own MY factor, which is the Mahila and the Yuva. So on that point, I'll bring in Mr. Jay Narayan Pandey, try and understand from his vantage point. He's there, he's been covering the elections very closely this time as well. Mr. Pandey, explain to us and our viewers what have been the underlying currents, especially pertaining to the MY factor that Prime Minister referred to, which has given this kind of a historic mandate in favor of the NDA, raising expectations, of course, as both our panelists earlier pointed out.
Yeah, in fact, the opposition lost a golden opportunity to cash in on the anti-incumbency factor, which should have been after 20 years of Nitish Kumar at the helm. But Prime Minister Modi and Nitish both have nursed a constituency of women, half of them. You see, 2.51 crore women voted or participated in the election process out of 3.51 crore. So it's a big number, and there are 1.51 crore Jivika Didis in Bihar. Plus there are Anganwadi Sevikas, Mamta workers. So and the second factor was the youth. Our reporters or generally reporters thought migration was one of the main issues RJD or Congress raised in this election, but that also didn't click. The reporters talked to the migrants returning to their workplace after church or after voting. Half of them were in favor of Nitish, that yes, whatever he is doing fine. And they didn't see the viable alternative in Tejasvi as the CM. And I think one factor which weighed against the opposition was projecting or claiming himself to be the CM candidate by Tejasvi.
You're right. I think the point that you're making is they perhaps made several mistakes as far as strategizing is concerned. They missed this opportunity. But one thing I think that's visible to every person today who understands, especially in context of Bihar, because it's a very politically aware state. It's said that right from the age of 13, 14, you begin to understand the state politics, the national politics. It's one of the most politically awakened state. In a state where you see Prime Minister putting in so much effort. This time he addressed about 14 rallies. He visited the state 7 times. Even today in his victory speech, he did not forget to make that personal connect. He said, "Aaj Bihar mein sab makhane ki kheer zarur banana." And that personal connect does work, I think, to a large extent. We've seen that happen across states, even during his political rallies in the state of Bihar. In whichever region he would go, he would try to speak the local dialect. He would try and connect to the local issues. Perhaps this is what is the Modi factor that people talk about, and which reaps results in favor of the BJP. Professor Roy, let's get your perspective on this personality-driven, aura-driven mandate that we've been seeing across states with Prime Minister Modi at the helm. Of course, he's credited with bringing in a lot of floating votes into the NDA fold as well. So it's not just the upper caste, it's not just the women and the voters, it's also many voters who are still to make a choice. Prime Minister goes there, addresses a rally, makes a personal connect, and that vote comes to the NDA. How much of it do you see working in favor of Bihar this time?
Tina, you have spoken for me. You are absolutely right, bang on target. One thing, the personal trust that the Prime Minister Modi commands. And secondly, the kind of oratorial skill and the linkages that he develops with the ordinary masses, the electorate, that's simply uncomparable. If you compare this with the leader of opposition in Delhi, the Parliament, Rahul Gandhi ji, or if you look at the untrust that the Prime Ministerial, the Chief Ministerial designate in Bihar Legislative Assembly after the election to become the Chief Minister, he lacked that trust of the electorate. Then similarly of the Swaraj Party, we used to see on the social media and so many other things, platforms, the Jan Swaraj Party and the role of the Prashant Kishore. But the amount of trust that Prime Minister Modi commands, despite with good intent of Prashant Kishore, I'm talking about Prashant Kishore, he did not win the seats. So the people of Bihar want a trusted face, and the kind of trust that in the last 10, 11 years that Prime Minister Modi has commanded, and his practices in Gujarat, that the whole Bihar who works there, I mean the Biharis who works there in Gujarat, who has seen the development. So these two factors, the development and the trust that a man commands, that led to such a massive victory. Of course, the 10,000 rupees that was to be transferred, that was in the bank accounts of the women, 75 lakhs women in particular. That was the master stroke in the election time. So this is the factor for such a massive victory. These three factors.
That's true. The expansion of beneficiaries across the state has trampled the caste-driven politics in Bihar, something that all of us at the moment are extremely proud of. As someone from Bihar, I would be the happiest to see that issue-based politics is taking center stage. Before we proceed with the conversation and talk about the other parties that have contributed remarkably, and made a lot of significance to this kind of mandate. But before that, let's listen into the Prime Minister's victory speech and the personal connect that Professor Roy highlighted.
बिहार ने 2010 के बाद का सबसे बड़ा जनादेश एनडीए को दिया है। मैं बहुत विनम्रता से एनडीए के सभी दलों की ओर से बिहार की महान जनता का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं बिहार की महान जनता को आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं। मैं आज लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण जी, भारत रत्न कर्पूरी ठाकुर जी को भी आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं। कर्पूरी ठाकुर जी के गांव से मैंने बिहार में चुनाव अभियान की शुरुआत की थी। अब आज की ये विजय हमें संकल्पित कर रही है कि बिहार के विकास को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाएं। बिहार में कुछ दलों ने तुष्टीकरण वाला माय फॉर्मूला बनाया था, पर आज की इस जीत ने एक नया सकारात्मक माय फॉर्मूला दिया है, और ये है महिला और यूथ। आज बिहार देश के उन राज्यों में है जहां सबसे ज्यादा युवाओं की संख्या है, और इसमें हर धर्म हर जाति के युवा है। उनकी इच्छा, उनकी आकांक्षा और उनके सपनों ने जंगल राज वालों के पुराने सांप्रदायिक माय फॉर्मूले को पूरी तरह ध्वस्त कर दिया है।
A quick update on where the numbers stand at the moment. As per the Election Commission of India, the BJP is leading on 89 seats. Results for 78 have been declared. The party is currently leading on 11. The JDU leading on 85. Results for 64 have been declared. Coming to the other 2-3 parties that were part of the NDA and which have also performed exceptionally well, the Lok Janshakti Party, Ram Vilas, they're leading on 19. Results for 15 have been declared, and they're leading currently on the remaining 4. The RLM, which is Upendra Kushwaha's party, they're leading on 2. So results for 2 have been declared, awaited for 2 more. And then comes the HAM, which is currently leading on 5 seats. Results for 2 have been declared. They're leading currently on 3. That brings me to the question on the performance of the LJP, Ram Vilas, the HAM and the RLM. To you, Mr. Prasad. The remaining 3 constituents of the NDA have also delivered exceptional strike rates. The LJP did so even in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. What does this say about the unity in the NDA fold as opposed to the Mahagathbandhan, and also about Bihar's appetite for smaller parties also playing a significant role in a decisive mandate like this?
Yeah, I think the smaller parties do reflect the ground situation or the ground realities, because eventually, remember, however we wish, there is an element of caste in Indian politics that cannot be discounted. Right. It remains there.
Everywhere, in all states.
This is in Indian politics, not just Bihar. I know you might feel offended.
No, that's...
okay. But what I meant was, in India, caste is a reality in Indian politics, that is a factor. So these people have their own outfits which have voter accumulation in one way or the other. I think what you've already indicated is they were all together. They swam together, they contested together, and did not attack one another. Unlike the other alliance, where you actually had ended up in what they call friendly fights. Whether they're friendly or not, a contest is a contest. That's it.
So I want to ask you, Mr. Singh, about the Congress, because we've seen the party being decimated in several states ever since Prime Minister Modi came to power. But the RJD has been a formidable force in Bihar. Even in 2020, they emerged as the single largest party. They were at 75. Now they're down to 25. What would you attribute their collapse to? Is it leadership related? Is it campaign related? Is it wrong decisions about the alliance? What do you think could have gone wrong? And I ask you this particularly because the leader currently is a youth one. He tried to strike the chord with the youngsters. Bihar has the youngest voters today.
Well, if you look at the utterances of Tejasvi Yadav, you will not find anything new in that. So, one, he is carrying the legacy of his father, and the legacy is not good. So, unlike 2012, when Akhilesh tried to jettison that legacy of his father by saying that he will not include DP Yadavs and others, and that way he made a different kind of mark, and 2012 he won the election. So, that was the time when he made a different kind of path for himself. Tejasvi didn't do that, and whenever he aligned with JDU, I mean, there was a brief time when he was Deputy CM. So, Deputy CM, as a Deputy CM, his regime saw the glimpse of past. I mean, if you could recall this Shahabuddin's release from the jail. So, the manner in which he steamrolled streets of Patna and reached Siwan. So, that imagery is not good. I mean, that
made Nitish Kumar quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, that made him uncomfortable, and that eventually led him to part ways. So, so those are the issues that he has not been able to address. You know, this is a strange situation. By any amount of imagination, you can say that 2 decades of a regime. I mean, there is a political fatigue factor that sets in. But in this case, it has not happened. Although 2020 election, it was seen there. I mean, this 2020, because of so many factors, JDU was not. JDU was almost.
And also, LJP dented JDU's
LJP
prospects.
dented, and there was a factor when people showed some kind of resentment with the CM. But this time, I think you don't need a rocket science to know that this is the last election of the Chief Minister. And it was a society's payback to him.
What a remarkable farewell to the Chief Minister who made that transformation possible. Let me go across to Mr. Pandey on that. Mr. Pandey, as someone who observed so closely, do you think the opposition misread the emotional and the social connect that especially the women voters of the state have with Nitish Kumar? Because otherwise you wouldn't see this kind of a mandate, this kind of a resurgence from a party, from a person who was in many ways written off because of bad health, because of political fatigue, and there are so many other factors.
Yeah, I won't say they misread. Actually, I will say that they were unable to create a narrative enough to counter the NDA or BJP. Like we are talking about that General Raj. He fielded the son of Shahabuddin. That gave ammo to BJP, which was harping on the General Raj theory. So, and plus women factor, that was the handicap because the Nitish Kumar is the Chief Minister, and he doled out incentives in the form of increasing monthly pension plus 10,000 to, it's not only 75 lakh only, it's almost 10,000 were transferred to more than 1.4 crore women, Jivika Didis. So it's a substantial number, and what you get in hand is weighs more than what the other side is promising, which was not viable. Tejasvi or the Congress couldn't convince the voter that they will. He promised 2.68 crore jobs. Is it possible? Even the layman can understand that it's not possible in Bihar, where he will recruit persons and where he will get the salary. So these are the impractical and impossible promises he made just to in desperation. And the second thing was that he failed. He was fresh in 2020. Now he has the baggage. He has been framed in IRCTC scam. So the corruption baggage of his father came in this election with him. So these are the factors, and plus the MY combination we were talking about, and the Prime Minister said that MY combination for RJD is now counterproductive. It has been counterproductive for the last 20 years, and he couldn't understand it. He failed to convince the voter that he is going for A to Z party. He is not A to Z party. The people surrounding him or the people he promotes around him, they don't represent the kind of rainbow of castes.
That's right.
Plus, nominating Mukesh Sahni as the Deputy Chief Minister's
who drew a blank for
candidate.
himself. That's right. So based on what you've recommended, let me ask Professor Roy one last question before we wrap up the conversation. Professor Roy, while all panelists have suggested that Tejasvi Yadav is a young leader, he still has so many more elections to fight. While he needs to reinvent himself, the question is how? Because in a state that was where caste dynamics was seen as the biggest hallmark, we've seen that having been broken. There are women, there are youngsters, even the beneficiaries who are able to look beyond caste and vote and prioritize development in so many ways. How is it that leaders like Tejasvi Yadav, also Prashant Kishore, if he intends to stay in the state and fight more elections, how can they reinvent themselves, re-energize themselves, and bring newer issues that resonate more with the voters of Bihar?
See, I can vouch for Prashant Kishore because he has still the credibility. He knows, he is educated, he knows since he has conducted the elections for many of the political personalities, starting from the BJP and Prime Minister Modi and then Mamata Banerjee and etc. But Tejasvi Yadav, I am doubtful because the kind of credibility that he has, the people do not trust him because of his family legacy, because of the way he speaks. The opposition in Bihar in particular, are still in the mold of 15, 20 years back. There's still things in terms of caste and all kinds of combinations. Caste is an important factor, but the world moves. Bihar has moved. The young new generation is there. The women are now more practical. They know that they have the technological benefits to look at the world. They have the exposure. So that old mode of looking at the politics, that's not very credible now, cannot hold on. So Tejasvi, I don't see much of a future unless the fate beckons him. But Prashant Kishore,
okay, point taken, Professor Roy, but in politics, never say never. There is a hope that Bihar has come out of that shadow and reinvented and seeing a different kind of political leadership, which is only and primarily issue-based and development-based. But politics is something where you should never write anyone off because you never know when there will be resurgence from that party or from that person. In fact, while the Prime Minister did express gratitude to the voters of Bihar and the cadre in Bihar. He's already sent out a message to the cadres in Tamil Nadu, in the state of Assam, in West Bengal, which is scheduled to go to polls next year. And then with the political message that Ganga flows from Bihar to Bengal. So that's how the BJP works. While celebrating one election, you've already given out that big message to put in more efforts and to re-energize for that kind of election that you will be seeing in these states in the months to come. Time allows us to take up only that much on the program. Thank you to all our guests for joining us and sharing your insights on this very, very important day. It's a wrap from me on this edition of Perspective. Thank you for your time.